Hi guys, this is my second channel on YouTube. Second video on YouTube. I do apologise for that. Today I would like to talk about more of who I am, where I'm from, and basically my experiences on how meditation has changed my life. Before I go into that, you would probably like the idea of me telling more about myself. For new subscribers who have only just joined my YouTube channel, welcome. Please bear with me. I am a new YouTuber, but I'm a quick learner, so I won't be a YouTuber for long. When I did my first video, if you've not seen it yet, please check it out. It's a bit scratchy. It's a bit newish, but I thought, well, I'm leaving it raw because before I actually did my YouTube channel, I had so much fear, so much negativity of thoughts and emotions. I was basically falling apart. I was basically punishing myself, saying that I wasn't able to do this, but I am able to do this because this is my second video, so it is doable. For those people who are afraid of the camera or what people may say or think, forget about all that, because I actually thought that myself, and as soon as I put my first video out there, the amount of support and comments I got was unbelievable, and every single one of them was positive. Every single one. Honestly, there's so many people out there that will help you and support you and basically guide you into how to actually do a certain. There's actually clips on YouTube on how to edit videos, how to record them, how to sit, how not to sit, what to say, what not to say. So the help is out there. Please just go and search it, and if you can't find any, just follow my example, because I'm still a little bit nervous, but I'm a lot more confident than I used to be. So it is doable. You can do it. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So get out there, do it. Get on with it. Anyway, more about myself, as I was doing. Well, as you know, my name is Tania, or some people know as my name is Tania. You do know. I live in a small little town called Skelmersdale in England, and for the first part of my life, I was a happy child. I say I'm a happy child, but I was and I wasn't. I was pretending to be a happy child, because unfortunately, by the age of 7, unfortunately, I was sexually assaulted by my father. Yeah, I don't want to go into further details, as that part of me is still raw. But the good news is, he's no longer in my life anymore. He doesn't have any contact or anything, and I've basically left that part of my life behind me and just basically carried on as if I've just left off. So I went to school. I went to school in Wigan in Standish. It was called Miro School. It was actually a special school for disabled people. Yes, I am disabled, but I'm not disabled to a degree where I basically am a wheelchair user. I have hidden disabilities. I am partially deaf, partially blind. I'm hemiplegic. Now, hemiplegic, before people who are wondering what hemiplegic actually is, what it is, my bones on my right hand side don't actually grow; they shrink. Yes, they actually shrink. They actually go back into a deformality, as it were. But it's fine. I'm living with that, and I'm coping with that. So it's all it's all good. I've had numerous operations. I also have hydrocephalus. Now, hydrocephalus, if people don't already know, is a build-up of fluid within the brain, and I have a valve which is called a shunt that basically measures measures the amount of fluid that's actually within my brain cavity, so my brain doesn't drown, basically. So yeah, that's another one, and many of numerous disabilities. I could go on all day, but this video isn't long enough. So anyway, I went to college, did studies of life education for 4 years. It was residential, and I stayed with 10 other students, and things were absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I had so many new friends. I even had a best friend on my first year. There was a tall girl. She was about 6'7", and I was about 5'1", so she was quite taller than me. I was, basically a midget compared to her. Basically, this lovely girl came strolling over, and she basically introduced herself as Ann Baker, and we hit it off perfectly from day one, and ever since we've been so much of a best friend. Honestly, we were seriously inseparable. She introduced me into the college. She introduced me to where all the courses were, where my classes would be, and all this, that, and the other, and where my work experiences and that. Then I was writing to my parents every day, on day gone by, how things were going, what I was doing, what courses I was doing, how I was getting on with them. Then I moved from the main campus of the college, and I moved into an independent living flat. I stayed there for a few months, and then after the few months, I was able to move into a B&B, where I started my first work experience. I was basically I can't exactly explain it, because it wasn't an interest of mine, but it was basically part of my course experiences anyway, so it was just something I had to do. What it was, I was basically learning how to cater for basically guests who wanted to stay, who basically who wanted certain things, that say, like, they want to clean sheet, basically maintaining the B&B business, but also learning on customer services, how to react with them, how to show them around, and how to do all sorts of things to basically boost my confidence, to interact with other people, and get used to interacting with strangers. So I did that for about 6 to 8 months, and everything was going fine then, until one day I get a phone call from my best friend and said, could you come home, because your mum's just called and apparently she's got something very important to tell you, and I don't know what's been going on or anything, but apparently it's urgent. So I finished I had to finish my halfway through my course to come home to the accommodation flat I was living in to answer this call. So when I got there, Anne was explaining to me that you need to get in touch with your mum. When she was on the phone, she sounded really agitated or really upset about something. I'm not exactly sure what she says, but you need to get hold of her. So anyway, I called my mum, asked her if everything was alright, whether Dad was alright, but everything was okay with home, or was anything gone wrong that I could help with. And she turned around and said, is there someone with you, or can someone actually come over and sit with you? And the first thought in my head, excuse me, that was my dog. I thought it was someone coming through the back gate, but there really isn't. Anyway, there were so many thoughts going through my head at that time. When my best friend actually said there was something wrong, or she thought there was something wrong, when I asked my mum whether she was okay, I could hear a certain hesitation, or a certain a disbelief, or a certain hesitation within her voice that there was something wrong, or something was upsetting her in some way or form. I wasn't quite sure what. So I asked her whether she was alright. I asked her what was wrong, if there's anything I can talk to or anything like that. And she basically turned around and said, I'm sorry. I said, but your beloved Emma, Alsatian, has passed away. Now, she was my childhood friend. She was my best friend. For anything, excuse me, I'm still getting choked up. Give me a minute. Okay. It's still pretty raw. She was basically my life. We were inseparable. And to hear that my best friend had passed away, well, I was overwhelmed with sadness. My childhood best friend had died while I was stuck millions of miles away from home. However, I couldn't grieve properly because I had courses to do, I had work experiences to finish. Therefore, I had to swallow my grief and carry on. I couldn't even mourn over my best friend. I know a lot of people would say she's just a dog, or she's just an animal. A lot of people would say they don't have feelings, but I'm sure I'm sorry, but they do. They really do, and they're more attached to us than we are to them. So if anyone says that animals are just animals, they're really not. They're actually young spirits to our souls. They're so connected with each other that it's just unbreakable. However, after my second year started, everything was rosy, but I wasn't as happy as I had been in my first year, because I still hadn't grieved over my best friend. And my mum called me that year and asked how I was coping, and I just said I was fine. I was a little bit sad, but I was fine. I was coping. I was getting there. I was just basically ploughing through as much as I was. But I tell you the truth, guys, I wasn't doing any of that. I lied. I actually lied to my mother. And she probably knows that now, God rest her. But I was focusing too much on my college work that I totally forgot about my best friend even dying. So I just carried on my third year again. Now by this time all my friends had left, new students were coming in, and my third year my third year was starting. Sorry, my fourth year was starting, and I was alone most of the time. But I loved the idea of that, because I could focus on my college work and all the personal stuff that I needed to finish. So when I'd finished all my personal stuff and all my homework and everything, I had time to reflect. I had time to reflect on the past 3 years that I was going through, or had already had, and it dawned on me how much grief and how much trauma I actually went through. And while I was sat there, my best friend Anna, she came through, and she basically turned around and said, "Tanya, your mum's on the phone again." Oh, well, I thought it was something I'd forgotten, or something I needed to bring home, or something that was home that should have been in college. All sorts of crazy thoughts were going through in my head. What was going on now? What have I forgotten? What have I haven't forgotten? Have I got me papers? Have I not got my papers? Have I got my qualification? It was all chaotic. It really was. I was just basically guessing what my mum actually wanted. But when I finally I answered the phone, she asked whether oh, sorry, I'm actually getting ahead of myself here. I'm not even reading the script properly. See, I'm not much of a scatterbrain. I really don't know how to. Well, I do know how to follow a script, but because of my nerves and everything. Anyway, never mind my nerves. Never mind anything else. I'm just going with it. So, anyway, I'd basically needed to finish my qualifications, as I said. Over the edges, most of my friends were here in North Wales, and I was going to be at home. So I thought, oh Christ, well, then I decided, right, that's it. I'm getting names, I'm getting addresses, and I'm getting telephone numbers. So while I was doing all that, my best friend Anne said that my mum was on the phone and she needed to speak to me about something important. And I thought, again, it was because I'd forgotten something, or I needed to bring something home, as I'm a bit forgetful sometimes. And I said to Anne, my best friend, okay, I'll be just a minute, I just need to sort a few things out, as it was my 21st birthday party, and I just turned 21. Yay! Okay, well, it was yay at that time, but I'm coming back to think about it, it really wasn't yay. It was more of a oh no. So anyway, I took the call from my mum, and for some reason I could sense she was upset by the sound of her voice. And I asked her calmly and quietly, if there's anything I could help with, or whether she was alright, was Dad alright, had something happened within the family, and she turned around and said, is there actually someone who could sit with you? Is there someone who could be with you for that particular moment? And I'm like, oh my god, what else can happen now? As I've just lost my best friend, my animal, we could say my animal spirit, because she was with me for so long, and all my old friends had disappeared, they'd gone on in my own life, and the only friend I had left was Anne. Everybody else had gone on, and all the rest were new, so I didn't know anybody really. Then my mum basically turned around and said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have some bad news. And at that moment, I was thinking of what other bad news could there be, as I've lost everything from the last 2 years, from friends to animals to, that I grew up for such a young age. How bad could it actually get from that? But then my mum tells me that she got diagnosed with cancer from the stomach. Well, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was just numb. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even acknowledge the fact that what she was saying was going through my head. I just went into space. I was in my own little world. People were trying to interact with me. They were trying to get my attention, and I was gone. I was completely overwhelmed from what she just said. And she said she'd already had chemotherapy, she already had radiotherapy, and nothing was working. Unfortunately, she was going home to die. Excuse me. So, like I say, I just couldn't believe my ears. My life was getting worse. I thought I was actually questioning my life's worth of actually going through college life and being here in Wales while my mum was dying over in England. And I forgot. I basically swallowed my grief, and again, I put it all aside me because I had too much work to do. I had so much to get over, so much to finish, that I had my 21st birthday party and all my presentations to sort out, and then I thought, hang on, I'm going to put that on hold, because at the end of the day, it's my mum, and my mum has been there since day one. So I asked my best friend, could I put everything back till next week? And she turned around and said, well, your final exams don't start until the following week anyway, so you might as well just put everything on hold. So, right, okay. So I asked my mum, could she make the journey to Rhyl in Wales? And she turned around and said, I'm not quite sure, I'd have to ask the GP whether she was able to, and she would ring me back. So after a few minutes, I basically reflect what she actually said, and so many thoughts were going through my head. I'm like, I should be home. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be going through all this rubbish paperwork and these qualifications. I can do it another time. I need to be with mum. She needs support right now. The rest, everything else can be put to one side until my mum was basically in a better situation. Well, not exactly a better situation, but more able to cope with the situation she was in. So when the phone rang the second time, I jumped a million years, because honestly, I was in that much in my own world. I didn't even. It sort of spurt me back into reality, back into the reality I actually was. And I answered, and I asked, but straight out, no, hello mum, how are you, and all this, that, and the other. I basically just said, well, what did the doctor say? Can you make it? Are you well enough to do the journey? She said that she couldn't cope with the train journey, but Dad was going to drive us over in the car, and we would be there by the end of the weekend. So, by the end of the week. So I was relieved that my mum was coming to see me. I completely forgot about her illness altogether. And at that moment, because I've not seen my mum since I left for college, and I arranged all my lessons to be put on hold until the following week, as I needed to prepare myself to what had happened. And well, I just burst into tears. I just couldn't believe it. After everything I've just been through, I thought my whole world was against me, as I never did anything to deserve so much pain. But my mum finally came that weekend, and I see my mum for the very first time wearing a baseball cap. Now, something you need to know about my mum. Baseball caps she despises. She hates them. Anyone who wears a baseball cap going down the street, she despises them. Because as far as she's concerned, if she doesn't see your whole face, she's not seeing the real you. So she'd never really liked the idea of baseball caps. Period. So when she arrived with the baseball cap on her head, I asked her to remove it, because I thought she just looked odd with it on, because I'd never seen her with a baseball cap. And she was right in saying baseball caps are just useless. They're for boys, they're not for girls. They're certainly not for me. Anyway, but she told me that she was embarrassed. She pulled me to one side and she said, "I'm sorry, Tania." I said, "But I can't." I said, "Why, Mum? What's the problem?" She said, "Well, I've got no hair." And I said, "Mum, it doesn't matter whether you've got 2 heads, 3 arms, or 6 blinking antennas. You're me mum, and I would love you anyway, regardless whether you basically shrunk 10 feet or whether you've sort of jumped in the air 6 feet high and decided to fly." So I wasn't bothered. I was just the fact that my mum was here, and no matter what I just wanted to make sure that what she was going through, that I was going with her, no matter what the situation was. So with a little bit of encouragement, she removed the cap, and I just stood there for a couple of minutes, and the first thing I did, I ran to her, held her in my arms, held her in my arms, basically squeezed her so much tightly that I, unfortunately, after a while, she told me that I needed to stop because she couldn't breathe. So after I finally prized myself off her, I basically said, "Don't worry, Mum. We'll find this way to find this. We won't give up. We will beat this cancer, and we will come out on top." I spent the rest of the weekend with her. We had a small tea party because I didn't want a big thing. As far as I'm concerned, my mum was here and I wanted to spend my 21st birthday with her. So it was just me, my mum, my dad, and my best friend. I talked about the last 3 years. Talked about the last 3 years I spent here at college, and I asked how my mum and dad were getting on with the decorating while all the animals were under the feet. Now, before we go any further, you probably want to know what animals I've got and all this, that, and the other. At the time, I had 2 border collies. I had a cockatiel, and we also had 7 cats. All rescue animals. All come from different parts. Some have come from broken backyards from a factory. Some have come from a home that no one wants anymore. Because before my mum actually got diagnosed with cancer, she worked for the RSPCA. She was an RSPCA officer, and every time she used to have a case, or she used to find an animal that was suffering, unfortunately, we were the ones that basically got lumbered with it. And ever since, they've been with us, been with us until eventually the day they passed to a better world. So yeah, everything was fine. We were having a good chat, and my mum started to pick up after her ordeal. And the weekend ended. My mum had to go home, and I had to finish my exams and my work experience before I left home for the last time. Well, again, I was so busy with distractions of work experience, my lessons, my homework, that I forgot about anything that had happened that weekend. So the next few days would be my last time to say goodbye to everyone that I loved in Wales for over 4 years. And I was sad to leave, but I was also happy because my life was beginning a new chapter. So my final day came, and within a few days I was back at home with my family. I recently found out then my mum had found out that she had a pension that she worked out when she worked for an MD for the NHS, and she was able to sign up for a private health company called Bupa. Now, she found out that she could have a new treatment. She was informed that she was entitled to 4 vials of this new wonder drug that came from America. I didn't know the name then. Still don't know the name now. Back then, it was just a battery number. It didn't even have a title. It only come straight off the shelf, straight from America. So anyway, but all I know is within a few months of receiving this treatment, she had 3 vials of this wonder drug, and then within a few months she was given the all clear. She was free. She had no cancer. She had no cancer cells within her body anymore. So that was a big bonus. For all the heartache and all the traumas I'd been through while I was at the college. So, that was a lovely welcome home. I've recently found out that my grandparents didn't get the news that I was home yet, and they hadn't been informed. So I wanted to surprise them. So I got onto the train, travelled to Warrington, and to surprise my grandparents. When I finally got there at home, we all walked in, as back then, when I was a kid, you could just walk in and basically knock on the door and say, we're here, where are you, and this, that, and the other. And her mum walks in, knocks on the door, as you do, and shouts, hello, is anyone home, or are you in the garden or anything? To which my grandmother replied, I'm in the kitchen, dear, your granddad's in the bedroom. And myself, for not seeing my grandparents since I was at college, I ran into my grandma's kitchen, and I stood by the door for a few minutes while she was totally oblivious I was even there. And I just basically stood by the door for a few minutes, and I just said, "So you didn't miss me that much, did you?" I said with a cheeky grin. And at that moment, my gran spun round, gave me one of her hug to death hugs where you just can't breathe no matter how hard you try, and said, hello, hello to you too. Have you seen your grandfather yet? And I said, no, I've not just seen anybody yet. I've only just seen you because I've only just come through the door. So what's it? I said, put the kettle on, and I'll see whether he's ready. So I went into the bedroom, knocked on the door, no reply. So I asked my grandmother, I said, are you sure, my granddad's actually in the bedroom? To which she basically turned around and said, just open the door and see if he's okay. You might be asleep. So I did just that, and he acted strangely, which was responding to my calls. But to put a long story short, that day I came home, I witnessed my grandfather dying of a diabetic coma, which eventually came into the result of a heart attack. So again, from positive to seeing my grandparents to again losing my grandfather. So I was so depressed with myself that I started looking for somewhere to release all this negative energy that I'd built up from when I was a kid. And I had no way of moving myself up, because I knew I needed to move forward in my life, because as much as I wanted to stay in that situation, the more I wanted to just get on with it, because at the end of the day, while I was grieving for this certain traumas or this certain episodes, I was basically putting my life on hold for the future I was basically being stopped to have, or stopping myself to have. So that was 34 years ago now. 33 years ago, from 34 years ago come this January. I've had all this built up even still, and I decided to make an appointment with a counsellor called Sarah, which she recommended me to have a look on YouTube, as a few patients of her follow a YouTube channel by a lovely guy called Jason Stevenson. She found out that he had been through hard times himself, and since I followed Jason's channel, I now play for local darts team for a few years now on Tuesdays, and on Fridays I perform for my local club, singing old songs to new songs, and I do that part time. And in between all that, I continue to follow Jason's work, using his meditations and affirmations and videos to keep my positive attitude on life and make sure I live it to the full. Because I wanted to share this video with you, as again, thanks to Jason's advice, and facing my fear of being scared of cameras and being basically scared of looking at this ugly mug, and how people would react to how I look, how I feel, this, that and the other. And now I've started my own channel. This is my second video of that channel, and I am now sharing my past story with you. So it's a win-win situation. I've had all that trauma and yet I'm still here. So it shows no matter what trauma you go through or what mishap or what failures you have, you've always got that step to start again or succeed from where you left off. There's always a chance. There's actually a saying that my grandma always used to tell me. Whenever in times of mishap or feel as if you can't go anywhere, remember this. Sometimes when God shuts a window, He always opens the door. So there's always a way out. So even if you can't get through a window or you can't see out, there's always a door to go out to another place. So please, my success story is your success story if you make it. So go out there, do your best, and just basically forget the rest. Forget all your fears, forget all your negative things, just do it, get over it. Just get on with it, because if you don't make that milestone, I made that milestone and I'm here. So if you can do it, see, I'm still overwhelmed from my actual channel myself. So don't think I'm actually over this, because I'm really not. I'm still going through my fears, but I'm doing it anyway. So get on with it. Seriously, it seems daunting at first, but once you get over that milestone, honestly, it flows. It really does flow. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for listening to me to waffle on about silly things that have happened that shouldn't have happened. And thank you for your patience, and hopefully I will have another video to share with you again. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe below, or if you have any comments on any questions or anything like that, put it in below and I will answer you as much as I can. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.